So I've got the weight sheet again. This is the final video for my channel for shedwars21, and we'll have a bit of a look around the yard at the same time as we talk about the weights. What you're looking at there is cabbage. That's just gone in, obviously. Behind that's some silver beet. G'day folks, Andy here from McDowell Manor. With the weights, 17.5 kilos in a bit less than a month. So today I think is either the 23rd or the 24th. Us old retired blokes never can work out what date it is. Well, half the time I don't even know what day of the bloody week it is. Anyway, that's a pretty good run. We're well and truly into autumn, but I always say autumn and spring in fact are some of our best growing times. So I'm happy with that, given that we've got about a week less this time. Animal produce is still down despite I harvested 5 males. Now I'll take you out shortly and we'll have a quick look at the quails, and that will become obvious. Quail eggs don't normally drop. They don't suffer in winter like the chickens go off the lay, but quails don't seem to care. But we'll have a chat about that. When you see the quails, the reason that's the case will make sense. And it's about me breeding. We did herbs are way up, but the reason for that is I had to harvest a big bucket of turmeric. So we'll have a conversation about that as well. I'm not a harvester by nature, and that's one of the things I want to talk about. The fruit is down a little, mostly kicked along by the red papaya. There's plenty on, but again, I ain't going to harvest it just to weigh it, you know what I mean? That's not how we roll here. And the veg and salad type stuff is way up, mostly because the tromboncino came in. So I'll show you, I'll put some pictures up that shows you what those tromboncinos look like. And the fact I've used a lot of kangkong reflects the fact that I was making pesto. That's why the basil featured too, quite honestly. Now what I'll do is I'll put a link into a pesto making video that I did. It's a cheap Charlie version, so I use peanuts instead of pine nuts because they're much cheaper. And it gives you a fair idea of the absolute range of greens you can put in a pesto, and it still tastes delightful. Alrighty, let's get on with the tromboncino. So here's a picture. That's the tromboncino vine there. It is actually still producing. The kids next door brought a heap in again, so we had another lot of tromboncino soup. Now, probably a good tip will be, if you've got a lot of something that you have to harvest, like the tromboncinos, just go on any of the cooking websites and they'll have recipes by ingredient. So I just put in zucchini, and I'll put a link in for the video that I did where we did zucchini soup. We had a zucchini feast. We had zucchini soup, zucchini noodle lasagna, which was followed by a chocolate orange zucchini cake, and they were delightful, really bloody good. So I'll put a link in for that. Quail cage. So the birds on the bottom are older birds, so they're a year old, except for that one funny little bloke there in the centre of the screen now. He's one of the newer ones. Oh, there's an egg. I told you they didn't go off the lay. So there's 4 in there. I think 2 girls, 2 boys. Then we'll go up to the top. Hopefully this camera's coping with the change. They're new birds. So there's only 3 birds in this cage. I think 2 are girls. I'll have to vent sex. But that was my first breed of the season. So that's the new babies. They're in the lay as well. There's 8 little birds that clearly will not be in the lay. That's my second series, my second lot of quail chicks that I hatched. There's 8 I think in there. So we'll wait till they hit maturity. We'll work out what's girls, what's boys. And hopefully we should well and truly have enough to get us through. They're going to jump out. So that's the explanation on the eggs. I've been managing the breeding program. Quails really only last 2 years. And so I also, that top batch that I only kept 3 birds, something like 9 out of 10 were male, or 8 out of 10, I just couldn't believe it. So that's why we've also got an increase in quail meat. You can't keep your excess males, even as much as you'll want to, and I do too, they kill each other. So you're only being cruel if you do that. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, this is King Kong. And in fact, you can see my King Kong's gone into flower. It'll die back in winter here, but that's okay. Now that's one I put in pesto, and I'll show you the second one. Tree there. It's a large bush or a tree. I think it's called katuk, but we call it, I just call it sweet leaf. That's what most people I know call it. That's in the pesto as well. It's our Thai basil. The dead thing in there is actually a chili bush behind. You always put a bit of basil in pesto. There's another lot that I put into a Ziploc bag I put in the freezer. Still got a bit of fair bit of citrus on. Now I'll put a link in for the pesto making video that I've done previously. You know, some people will be interested. There's a nice lemon over there in the back. Got a couple on. So the reason I'm showing you the citrus and telling you about the pesto and stuff is you're going to find, now as I said to you, and you can see, I don't tend to harvest batches all at once. But even having said that, you have to find a way to preserve this stuff. And that's where the pesto making, we make jam. I've got a pressure canner. I do water bath canning as well for things that are acidic. We've got some nice passion fruits on too. You will need to preserve it. Like I say, we can use quite a bit of something, and the food websites are good for that, and hopefully you will look at that zucchini feast that we did. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Virtually a whole meal, and the main ingredient was zucchini. So you will, that's the big tip, I guess, is you will need to preserve. It's good if you can find a whole range of recipes. Don't just rely on recipes that you know. Go and play with a few. You know, go and look at some of those ingredient recipes. I would never have said you can make a chocolate and orange zucchini cake, for goodness sake. And it was beautiful. So that's probably important that you get some hands on some resources. There's tons of YouTube clips, of course, about jam making and different ways of preserving. I've actually got a clip that I'll link in, I think talks about 9 different ways of preserving. So we'll put a link in for that as well if you're interested. I've done the turmeric, I did say that. I'll just show you that we've got figs on. How good is that? It's actually turmeric. Remember I said I harvested a whole bunch of turmeric where I don't normally. I normally just leave it in the ground. It's fine, don't worry, it doesn't rot. Most root veggies like ginger and stuff, nature actually stores them in the ground, so don't panic. So I'm dehydrating that. Now the only reason we harvested over 1 kilo of turmeric was I needed to get my hands on the pot, and so we emptied the pot, and boy did it turn out some turmeric. So that's about to be powdered. Whopping big sandwich bag of powdered chili. So I do the same as I'm doing with the turmeric. I just dry it and then I powder it up. Another patch of turmeric, and in fact there's a patch coming further down on that footpath as well. Like I say, don't feel you have to dig it up. That's a myth. You absolutely don't. And we use people are probably thinking, why has this mug got so much turmeric? I'll put some photos in just quickly. We do a lot of curries and a lot of Indian dishes, and they all use turmeric. So I'll slot this in. I forgot to do it. I've done it right at the end, but I'll slot it in somewhere sensible. I've just worked out in total over the 4 months I've produced almost 72 kilos, 71.9 of food. I can't believe it, out of my tiny little yard. Bit of a grass out the front that I've used to line a swale. It's in seed. God, it's going nuts. So hopefully you've enjoyed, given this is the last Shed Wars video, hopefully you've enjoyed this year's little Southern Hemisphere Shed Wars jaunt. I've certainly enjoyed sharing the tips and hints with people. Hopefully today's preserving tips and hints will come in handy. And I'll put extra links in so you can use your greens in pestos and stuff. I'll put the preserving links in to sort of help you out with that. Feel free to have a look around my channel. It's got a lot of recipes where I use things that I grow, so that might be handy for you. Like I said originally, if you don't eat it, why on earth are you growing it? Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed all this. Feel free to subscribe if you have, or you enjoy the sort of urban farmsteading type videos. And it's been a pleasure having you on the Shed Wars journey, folks. Alright, Uru, have a good one, eh?